Hello, darlings, and welcome to my podcast, Treading the Boards to Business, where we talk all things from sparkle and spotlight to the boardroom and beyond. My name is Shelley Otway-Wood, former actress, singer and dancer, and now CEO of Stepping Out Stars of Tomorrow Theatre School, the Costume Cupboard, and Dance and Performing Arts Business Coach. I am going to share with you some fantastic showbiz stories with my friends and colleagues about their careers in performing arts and beyond. So let's open these curtains and step into the spotlight. So, how are you?
How am I? Yeah, I am. Yeah, life is really good actually, and I think we have to say when it is because I think when
Yeah,
someone says, "How are you?" it becomes quite an automatic response to go, "Oh God, yeah, kind of
yeah,
coping and getting by." And actually, it's been a tricky few years for
okay,
quite a while. And I know, same at your end. But I kind of lost mum a couple of years ago, and that was
yeah,
through an illness that lasted a few years. And you get to, it's that sort of stage of life, don't you, when you've got a young family and then, ailing or aging parents.
yeah.
So that was a tough few years. And actually, you don't obviously ever get over anything like that. And so it's quite a tough old start to the conversation. But in all honesty, things are good and things are settling. Yeah. How's
Good.
your end?
So, well, welcome, Suzie, first of all, because I haven't even welcomed you. Um, and yeah, no, things are really good. I mean, we were actually looking at moving, and now we've just kind of put the brakes on a little bit because Ayana's been a bit funny at school and things. There's been quite a lot going on with her. So we've just kind of decided to just take a break on that. And we don't really need to move. It was just, it's me and my ADHD brain going, I need to do something next because I've just finished my big show. So I'm like, right, I need to do next thing, next thing, next thing. So yeah, we've decided to just kind of, just chill for a bit. But I was thinking about kind of how we met yesterday, but actually it's a little very different to how, I mean, obviously it is through the Beck, but didn't, obviously it's really through my sister that I know you. Were you and Haley at school together?
We were eventually, yeah, eventually. So my kind of Beck story and route is probably a bit different. And the reason we didn't overly know each other at the Beck, so for anyone who ends up watching and listening, who has we say the Beck like
Like
everyone knows
everyone
what
knows
it
it.
is.
But if you have listened to the other podcasts, there's a lot of people that have that kind of went to the youth theatre at the Beck Theatre with us. I mean, we've had Damien on, we've had Matt on, we've had Haley on. So there's been quite a few Beck Theatre, youth theatre people that have come on because
So
so
no
many of us,
explanation needed, right? No explanation.
yeah, I mean, so many people have gone on to fun, wonderful things, haven't they, from there? Because I think what that grounding taught us all was, the discipline of theatre and turning up on time and being groomed and, as in, looking nice and, all of those things that actually you learn from your roots. And I think one thing the Beck really taught us was that, you're not late for rehearsals. You turn up on time. You're nice to other people. You're a good company member. All of those things. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was
although
different.
yeah,
How we met.
so my Beck route, well, I mean, my Beck experience actually was probably a bit different because I came to acting, and not late, but I didn't have that in my family at all. Like we weren't a theatre family by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
So I kind of found my own way with it. I think my dad, obviously, and mum really encouraged all of that sort of stuff and drove me to an audition when I was about 13, 14. But then that was quite late for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You, I think, included, maybe Haley as well, ballet from three,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
working their way up through all the different classes and ages and that sort of thing. And that wasn't my route at all. I just sort of decided, I think I got like the part of Annie or something in year six and then got the bug and fell in love with it and hounded my dad to take me to some audition up the road, which is what the Beck turned out to be. But then when I arrived, I think everyone had just done cabaret or something, and
Okay.
everyone was so gelled and so
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
that I found, honestly, if I look back, I found the Beck a bit tough. I
Oh,
found
okay.
the environment a bit hard.
Right.
I was there for about a year and a half, and then I left. And then
You know, it's so funny because well, the way I think of you of being there for years, like we all were,
yeah, no, that wasn't
but you
my
really weren't.
experience at all. But what
Okay.
happened is that I then left my secondary school to go to a different sixth form,
Okay.
which, and everybody who went to the Beck more or less went to that sixth form and went to that school. And the reason I left that was because the school that I was at just didn't care about drama, like at all.
Yeah.
So they had a really lovely kind of, because, and it was all to do with the teachers, and as anything is, it's just kind of a big old monopoly or potluck as to if you've got teachers that are really passionate about the subjects that they're teaching. And I
Yeah.
think for that particular school, we had like an English teacher was doing drama. I think our drama room was a tiny black box with like a props cupboard that had like a police helmet and a broken old
And a
telephone in
broomstick.
it and a broomstick. And that was it. But then with this other school, they had, I think it was lottery funding. They'd become a performing arts school, and I
Oh,
went to
wow.
see a show there that just blew me away. And so that's where I met up again with Hayley and again with all that sort of lot. And we've been, yeah, hard.
Yeah, I mean we were all friends. You know, I obviously had a different group of friends to you guys, but your particular group is particularly close, isn't it? I mean, you still see all of each other now, don't you? Which is lovely.
All the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And that for me, like I said, it sort of happened later on in life, in that it was sort of sixth form to have kind of found my group of people. But and we're still meeting up all the time. I was with a couple of them
That's
this week. Hayley
oh, that's
is
lovely.
has just been in my life at all the important moments for
I know
many,
it's
many years.
lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, so then you were at youth theatre and you had the bug, and I don't know your route from there. Did you go to drama school? Did you? You did.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Talk to us
Yeah.
about that.
But not for a while. Again, I take my time, Shelley. I get to places eventually. I get to milestones eventually. So I sort of left school but really fell in love with acting there. And again, down to teachers. So we had an amazing drama and music teacher at Bishop's Holt. And actually they're thinking back to that sort of time, that era, those two teachers, because of them, churned out such talent that then a
Right,
bit like
okay.
people who came through the Beck, just went on to do incredible things. So and they really breathed belief in me for the first time in my life.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I actually went to one of their retirement dues back at that school a little while ago with Hayley. So and again, just what a legacy, what a legacy. So I left there, but was scared to go to drama school. And that
Mm,
we'll probably talk about this, Shelley, but it's just been a bit of a recurring theme throughout my life, which is why it takes me a long time to actually, or took me a long time to do the things I really wanted to do.
okay.
So I left school, went to university eventually after sort of a year, I think, went to university, studied drama, but it wasn't the kind of university that then, the actors came from, but kind of more stage managers and directors and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I went to Bristol University, did 3 years of a drama degree, and then went into production. So I went into TV and film production.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I left university, first day out of university. We lived really close to Pinewood.
Okay.
Yeah, which you would have not lived that far away at the time yourself.
No, because I'm based here. I grew up in kind of West Drayton, Uxbridge, Ivor. So yeah, Pinewood's Ivor, isn't it?
Yeah, just around the
So where
corner.
my mum still lives there, yeah.
Of course she does. Of course she does.
Yeah. So you're
So
still over that way then?
not too far. So I'm in
Okay.
Penn now,
Okay.
Beaconsfield, that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So where's home for you?
I live in Shinfield, near literally opposite Shinfield Studios.
Okay. And that's popped
So
up on the M4 all of a sudden
yeah,
the last few
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
That's like a recent, that's like a modern theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, so what's actually really lovely is they actually contacted me and said, you know, I know that you're a local principal and would you like to come and have a look round? And so I've actually seen all the studios and so obviously they weren't in production when they did the walk around, but it's huge,
Yeah.
huge place. And literally you can walk to it. It's like I can see it from my window. Like it's massive.
Yeah. I mean, it looks massive.
So
I only ever pass it on the M4. But all
yeah,
of
I
a
mean, you
sudden I
can
was
just see all the stages, can't you, as long as you go. But it's weird because obviously it wasn't in production. And so a lot of people that were on the walk around were like, well, where's all the sets? And well, there was no production on because obviously that's when they could show us round. But yeah, it's incredible site, really, really is. It's huge, absolutely huge, and much, much bigger than Pinewood.
Is it? Gosh, and Pinewood's had loads and loads of renovation, hasn't it, recently? But
Yeah,
back when in the olden days, when I left school or left university, I mean, thankfully, I had a fantastic neighbour who was kind of like a godparent. So they took us away like abroad a lot, and she worked for the BBC, and she was a hairdresser and a makeup artist, and she was just like, right, just open the doors. Just go do what you've got to do to open the doors. And she said, right now. And this was a long time ago, so it didn't have the security that it used to have. But she said, if you drive into Pinewood Studios, all right, just drive in, which you could do, and park up, and then go to the main house and ask what films are about to start production that haven't
yeah.
been approved yet.
Oh
And
wow.
they'll just give you a map. And that's exactly what happened. So I drove in and I look back and I really am proud of that
Yeah,
20-year-old girl, 21-year-old girl who had the balls to do it. And so
yeah,
I drove up, went into the main house and said exactly that. So where's not crewed up yet, and they literally on a map told me that this production office is here, this one's here. And so I walked around with a virtually a blank CV and popped my head in to these different production offices, trembling like a leaf, and just said, "Oh, look, I'm free. I'm just out of university. I've just done a drama degree." And I think that pleasant persistence and that bravery, because I'd
yeah.
shown my face, meant that the next day I got a call from a production that ended up being called United 93, which is a massive film about September the 11th. And it was actually not
Okay,
long after it had happened. Yeah.
okay.
And it ended up winning like an Oscar, being nominated for Oscar. It was just a fantastic production, a Paul Greengrass production. And I got on that film. And so I worked in
Wow.
for about 2 years.
So
Um,
kind of behind the scenes more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then dad passed away. And I got some, because obviously drama school is super, super expensive. And it was back then as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just didn't have the means and the confidence to go straight into drama school from university. And then as soon as that became possible, I was like, right. And I think there were two, it was late on in the year, and there were two drama schools still auditioning, and that was Drama Studio London and Mount View. And so I went
Okay.
along and I stayed with Hayley one night before my Mount View audition. And to be honest, I got into Mount View, but it wasn't the best experience at the time. I know it's a
Yeah,
brilliant.
I found that as well because I got into Mount View as well, and it was between Mount View and GSA for me. And it's funny because obviously Haley and I, talk about this a lot. And obviously Mount View at the time was in Crouch Hill, so I always used to say, I would be sitting there on the in the green in Guildford with all the lovely trees and learning my scripts by the river, and Haley would be like scared for her own life in Crouch Hill with a knife. It was like it was so night and day. But yeah, for me, I walked into GSA and was like, oh my God, this is where I want to go. Whereas Mount View, I didn't like it. It just wasn't my vibe. Whereas obviously some people go in and go, oh my God, that's where I want to go. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those drama schools, are still obviously very, 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 very up and coming. But and particularly GSA, I think now these days, GSA and Arts Ed seem to be like the ones to kind of go to. But there are so many others now that are around, isn't there? Before it was very few that were around when we were auditioning and stuff, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And because I didn't really have that kind of background, I sort of didn't. I knew that RADA was prestigious, and you should all sort of shoot for the big three or whatever it was back then. But I had the option of the two, and for me, and do you know back at the time, I'm not sure what it's like now, but Drama Studio London it was kind of the underdog. It was one of the smaller drama schools. But the experience there, it was just as you said, I walked through the door and they treated you like you were already there from the get-go.
Nice.
And that vibe, that kind of, and I think a lot of, particularly when you're on an audition panel, you can get, and this is not always the way, although I took my daughter to an audition recently and still got this vibe, which was a real shame. But I think when you're on an audition panel, you can get a little bit power hungry and make
Mm,
those people who walk through the door feel the pressure. And as everyone
yeah,
worth their weight knows, that to get the best out of anybody, you have to lower the
absolutely.
stakes and make them feel
Yeah,
comfortable.
I mean, we have auditions and stuff in the schools, and I always say to the kids, look, it's only us. We're going to have a lovely time. And you know what? If you go wrong, it really doesn't matter because we know what you can do anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the And yes, obviously, we still have the table and notes and all stuff like that, like it is on X Factor. But I try and make it as nice as possible for the kids rather than it being this scary environment. And that's really sad that your daughter had that because I really don't agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, Emily took it in her stride because I mean,
Yeah.
she does, and hopefully, and long may that continue. But I just think you're so right to be able to, when you are in that position, to remind yourself that
How you
it's like,
felt.
yeah, how you felt, yeah, but it's like with anything, kids and exams and the way to make them crumble is to heighten the stakes and put the pressure on. That will, that'll do it. But the way to get the best out of them in that room is to make them feel completely at ease, and that's what Drama Studio did. So I was there for it was just a year post grad after a
Great.
drama degree, but what it was, and of course back at drama school you probably felt the same. And I know they said it at the time, but you never compute or take it in. And they said, look, you are getting to act every single day of your life, and this will never happen again. And of course, it never did.
It
But
never
that's why
does,
you
does
love
it?
drama school, right?
It's so true. It's so true. So you graduated from there, and
Mhm.
then what happened?
So graduated from drama school and acted. So I made an almost living, Shelley, for about 10 years, acting and but largely so graduated in 2008. So for anyone who remembers 2008, it was a tough year and the industry was kind of on its knees. So I just said yes to any paid acting job that came along, and I was really lucky actually. We had because DSL was a bit of an underdog when it came to drama schools. We didn't get the big agents come to showcases.
Okay.
It just it didn't happen. But we had one largish agent come along, and they had come to see a particular person who'd written off to them, and this gorgeous girl in our year who just was looked like Hilary Swank. She was absolutely stunning,
Okay.
and she was just a lovely actress. But this particular agent had come along to see her, and then they invited me along to interview off the back of that. But as well, at the showcase, there were some casting directors in, and they gave me my first job in like a tour. So it was a tour of Italy. So I did Animal Farm
Oh
around
wow.
Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
For
that
about a
play.
year. I mean, it's brilliant. It's
Brilliant
brilliant.
play.
Yeah. So we were on like stilts with like the animals over our heads and stuff. So like the most physical production I think I've ever done. Most physical production I think I've ever done. So that was traveling Italy for a year. And because it was so physical, Shelley, you would just see like the guys in the cast just like becoming half of the men that they were before. Like, we would all sweat for like an hour and a half, sometimes
Yeah.
twice a day. And yet with the pasta in Italy, I still managed to put on weight. Not that that's a thing, not that's a thing, but I just remember that is one thing I remember from that production. It's the food in Italy I utterly fell in love with. So that was for my first year, and then just fell into lots of Shakespeare productions. I don't know why it just happened that way, but
Hmm.
lots of touring, which was
Okay.
brilliant,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
having the time of your life, but earning a pittance again, which you'll probably know. But so seeing the world, and then it got to the stage where I kind of wanted to settle down and get married
Mm.
and have a family. And I think this is the one thing that's always popped up again and again with acting is that it is still my number one love, but
Yeah.
part of my personality that cannot deal with not knowing where the next paycheck was coming
Yeah.
from, that kind of won out.
You're a
So,
bit of a you're a bit of a home bird as well, aren't you?
am I a bit of a home bird? I don't know. I like adventure. I like adventure, and I like to travel. But so, in fact, with the work that I do at the moment, I travel all the time.
Oh, okay.
time. But it was, yes, it wasn't so much that. It was just I have never been able to be okay with putting, and it's not even just my success, but putting the
Well,
decision.
it's the roller coaster, isn't it? You know, and I always think this is a really good analogy. And somebody said to me once, "Well, you can't give up because it's the fruit machine theory." And I said, "Sorry." And they said, "Well, it's like you keep putting money in the fruit machine in the hope that something will eventually come out." And it's just like that, isn't it? And with that, you know, I've talked about my kind of career and how I decided that that was enough. And it was like a very real kind of prevalent moment in my life, and was like, right, that is it. And I kind of was done, and that was the end of it. And it was really, it was a real kind of conscious decision. But there was always that little bit behind me. Not that I'd ever want to go back to performing now, because I really wouldn't. But there was always that little bit kind of niggle in my head of, why did I give up then? I should have, I wish I'd just kind of carried on for a few more years, you know.
Why
But
would you not go
also,
back to it now, do you think?
do you know what? I don't think I have the confidence.
Mm.
And I like my evenings, and I like spending time with my husband and my little girl. And
Mm.
I don't think there is one job I'd go back for, and that would be to play Mrs. Wormwood in London. So if anyone's listening, I'll go back and do that. Thank you very much.
I can see you in that
Um,
role. I can see you in that role, Shell. Do you know, that's not a million miles away from what did I see you in? Anything Goes. What theatre did you, that was at the West End, wasn't it?
yeah, so we did Anything Goes on tour for a year.
Mm,
So we started in Blackpool. So we were in Blackpool for 3 months, which
mm,
was an absolute hoot, as you can imagine. Um, and then I did a year in that show. So yes, I guess Irma was like a gangster's mole in that, so quite kind of quirky and quite funny. So yeah, Mrs. Wormwood would kind of be along those lines. But yeah, I don't. It's funny. I speak to Hayley about this a lot, my sister, and she still has that burning desire to perform. I just don't.
mm.
I don't have. I've had a few people offer me jobs, and I've been like, oh, do you know what? Can I think about it? And then like a week's gone by and they've gone, did you think about it? And I've gone, oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Whereas like, 5 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, do that. 10, well,
Yeah.
not 5 years ago, but 20 years ago, I'd been like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. Um, but yeah, I don't think Hayley even asked me to just sing a song in her. I sing once a year at our annual awards night. I literally get heart failure every year that I do it. But I do it for the kids because I think it's quite nice for them to see that I can do what I'm saying I'm doing.
Mm.
I don't do any musicals anymore, and I'm actually not that far from the mill at Sonning, so I could go back and do. I mean, they're doing Anything Goes, ironically, this Christmas. Um, but I just no, I just it's not what I want to do now.
And it's so true, isn't it? Particularly with singing, like you don't use it and you lose it, and you
Yeah,
really, really do. And look, I know if this is something, I think singing was more in your bones than it ever was in mine, ever was. I remember
yeah.
singing a bit, well, a lot with Hayley actually, and she gave me the confidence to go on stage and do it. As long as she was by my side, I was fine. Fine,
Ah,
all the duets, all the duets. But it's interesting what you say about the confidence stuff.
yeah.
Where's that gone, do you
I
think?
don't know because like was doing 8 shows a week in shows for years.
Mm,
Literally back to back shows. Just didn't even worry about it. But then I think you maybe give up for so long. And then I actually got an agent in just before lockdown, actually, and I was going to go back. And I was like, right, yeah, and had all new headshots done and everything. And then obviously lockdown happened, and I was just like, oh, maybe that's a bit of a sign of don't do it. And that
mm,
was that was it. And it was weird actually, because actually something came up on my Facebook yesterday, and it was like, oh, 7 years ago, and it was like, oh, I've gone back, and it was a picture of me with my spotlight and everything. But obviously that was just before COVID, so well, 6 years ago, I think it was. Yes, yeah, so just before COVID, so it never happened because it never COVID happened, and then that was it. And I was trying to keep the school running and everything else, so it just never happened. But I think also I really struggled to remember words,
mhm.
so I don't know where that has come from. I always struggled to learn lines anyway. Um, you know, it was funny actually. Rob and I were watching Mickey Flanagan last night, and absolutely love Mickey Flanagan, and was watching him. And I said to him at the end of it, I said to Rob, it actually is mind-boggling for me that somebody can stand there for an hour and a half, and he never said an or a or a, he didn't hiccup, he didn't make any mistakes. Um, and Rob was like, yeah, but a lot of it will be off the cuff. And I said, it won't be. It has to be scripted because, yes, he might add in a few little bits, but that's an hour and a half of scripted material. Now, the only show that I ever did where I was talking that much was Abigail's Party. And I played Beverly, and literally, I did not leave. You don't leave the stage; you're on stage the whole time as Beverly. And I found that so hard to learn, so hard to learn. And for me, I'd always have to block things first. So I'd block it and then I'd remember my lines. I could never just sit at home and learn my lines. I just don't have that kind of brain. If I was like, okay, on this line, I'd pick up my cup and I would say, oh, and that's very nice, or I'd remember it that way. But I would really struggle to kind of like I did rep for a little while, and they wanted you to go into the first rehearsal knowing your lines, and I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that's another thing, isn't it? It's making the accommodation for how people's brains work because our brains work completely differently. And it's interesting what you said, say the same as singing. It's like with confidence. Confidence is very simply that feeling you get from the evidence you gather by doing the thing. So it is what you are more practiced at. So if you stop something, well, and particularly if you let a few years pass by,
yeah,
try and step into those shoes again, and but also
yeah,
expect the knock of confidence, but also expect that if you go back into those shoes and you do it and you kind of settle in and you let those kind of nerves settle, you'd find your flow again. You would, and
yeah,
you would work out how your brain now likes to learn lines. Because this is the thing, like Shelley. So I mean, it's almost a build on from where I left off with the story. So carried on acting, gave up to have a family, to be able to have a bit more stability. And I got a proper job for the first time in my life. And that was working for headquarters for a retailer. And I thought it was the end of the world. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go and work in an office. And this is not against anyone who works in an office, because actually it was just fear of not knowing how that world worked, but also thinking that's not the kind of world that I would do well in. And
yeah,
actually, if I had a ball. I had a ball, and I learned a lot, and I met amazing people. But then what happened is that we had a conference one year, and because of the role I was doing, I was helping organise the conference, and we had this guy in deliver the keynote at the end of the day, and he blew the roof off the place. He blew the roof off the place. And I thought, that looks like fun. Like you're on stage, but you're being you. But the prospect of that absolutely terrified me. And this is kind of, and I'm going about this story a little bit of a roundabout way. But one of the other reasons I stopped acting was because of nerves. So it's what you've spoken about. And at
yeah,
drama
yeah,
school, isn't it interesting? I'm hoping it's
yeah,
changed now. But at drama school, you are taught technique and you are taught improvisation and you are taught the classics and Shakespeare and all that sort of stuff. But you are never taught, or you weren't, how to deal with your nerves.
yeah.
You were just kind of expected that, like, if you're an actor, you're just confident, right? There was a podcast with David Tennant that I listened to,
Okay.
um, and it was
I
how,
love David Tennant.
yeah, isn't he? Just,
Brilliant, brilliant.
but it's so characterful. But he was doing a podcast. I think it was Fern Cotton's Happy Place, and she said to him, what do you do when you get nervous on stage? Like, how do you deal with that? And he said, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I would say that I would like to think I've been doing it for long enough to know I'm going to be okay. But when I'm on stage and I'm delivering a line and my brain is going, David, after this sentence, you've got nothing. You've got nothing. But I still get that feeling that I'm going to die. Right. And that everything's going to disappear out of my head and I'm not going to get through it. And I thought, gosh, just even the actors that have been out there acting, doing
Yeah.
amazing job after amazing job for decades, still actually, if they were taught 20, 30 years ago, still don't know what to do with their nerves. So for me, that was the big thing. I had an audition for the Royal Shakespeare Company. And it was so when you're at drama school, you get a series of competitions throughout the year, which you'll know. And at drama school, you'll probably audition, and then each school will send one female representative and one male representative up for that competition. So you've got
Okay.
like Sam Wanamaker and Carlton Hobbs with the audio
Yeah,
competition.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And during our first year, before any of the competition had actually happened, this brand new one popped up, and it was the RSC. I think they were sort of just looking for new blood. And so we hadn't done any Shakespeare that year yet. And so we had like an external auditioner come in, and we had a series of auditions. And in the end, I ended up going and representing our drama school at the RSC on that particular day.
Lovely.
We had split the day into two. And so for the first half of the day, I think we were given a bit of Henry V to
Okay.
learn. Yeah, I don't know, we had about 2 or 3 days with the script. And we all had to stand up. There's a big old panel of RSC bods in the room, and
Mhm.
like, yeah, yes, and John Barton at the time, who was,
Yes, yeah,
like the guru of Shakespeare.
yeah.
And I grew up watching him kind of coach our greats like Jane Labertaire and David Suchet and those sorts of things. So he was there. And we had to stand up and deliver, I think it was the prologue from Henry V. And that all went fine because I'm a real prepper, and like I got this script into my bones.
Yeah.
So that was fine. And then in the afternoon, they sprung a lovely surprise on us, Shelley, and they had this rhetoric champion come in. And this guy gave us each a current affairs topic to just stand up and speak about.
Oh, God.
God.
Would be my idea of hell.
It was hell. It was hell. I cannot tell you what came out of my mouth. I just know it wasn't English, whatever it was. And I gobbled something and just
Just keep speaking.
melted.
Just keep speaking.
And I just melted. And you know, one of those you want the ground to swallow you up. I went
Yeah.
like whatever was. It was just a mess, and I could literally see those RSC bods like just scratching my name off their list as they realized that, oh, okay, well, she's not as
Oh,
good as we thought she was. So I'd blown it. And that was the turning point for me. I was like, well, listen, this fear, these debilitating nerves, I think it's the reason I went into performing in the first place, was because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin that the
yeah.
nicest relief out of that was to jump into someone else's. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have a very clever person write me lots of lovely words and hide behind a character. And that was why I think I went into performing. And it's probably a lot more common among performers than people realize.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think you'd have a performer that wouldn't agree with that. I mean, if I have to go up and say a speech for the school, which I had to do last weekend because we had our show, I hate it. And some of the parents that are backstage, "Well, but yeah, but you're really confident. You won't mind that." No, no, because I'm going up there as Shelley. I'm not going up there as, Matilda or Mrs. Wormwood or whoever. I'm going up there as me. And that's when it's like, oh, I'm gonna say something stupid and I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
and you try and be funny and then no one laughs and you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, do we all love a moment like that, a tumbleweed moment? But that's the thing, though. You get the added pressure of, because people know I'm a performer, like I'm supposed to be good at this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's an added layer of pressure, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was another one of the reasons I kind of stopped acting, if I'm honest. But then
Yeah.
this moment on this day at this conference, this guy who blew the roof off the place, because I'd organised it, I'd had quite a lot of communication with him. And I just kind of stayed pleasantly persistent and got in touch with the guy who runs an amazing guy called Dr. Andy Cope, who I adore. But he runs a company called The Art of Brilliance, which is kind of a training company. And at the time, they were a group of guys kind of a certain age. And I rocked up at one of their training days one day, and he was wondering who on earth I was and who had sent me. But it was the keynote speaker on our day because I got speaking to him and harassed him a little bit. And he said, look, okay, because I went up and I said, have you got any speaker roles going? And he was like, look, we are all a group of guys. and we go into organizations and we deliver, keynotes and trainings, and we go into education facilities as well, so schools, universities. And the one group of people that we do not relate to, of course, are teenage girls.
Really? Oh, okay.
Mhm. So he said, look, if you can write something like a workshop for teenage girls, because I've got a teenage girl, and this was sort of 8, 9 years ago, and what she's faced with and the things that she's going through and the challenges like really worry me. And I would love you to write something for teenage girls, pilot it at a school somewhere, and I'll see it. And if it works, then you can come on into the fold. And so that's what I did. And so I wrote this course
Wow.
alongside kind of full-time work at the moment. Poor Graham used to like find me asleep at the laptop at about 2 o'clock in the morning. So I wrote this course, piloted it at Graham's school, which is funnily enough the school that we both went to. And then that was it. And that workshop got turned into a book. Andy very nicely brought me into the training team. And then I became a public speaker. And this is the key, Shelley, because this was the reason I stopped acting was because I could not speak as myself. Because every single time I was asked to improvise, there was an audition where they took the scripts away, I would unravel. And so I went to work on that. And a few years later, I was a speaker for a living, and that's what I do now. And of course, there are loads of transferable skills, but the reason doing what I do now, so yes, a keynote speaker is kind of bread and butter work, and I love that. But the thing that really, really fires me up is the speaking coaching and the
Okay.
confidence coaching. And the reason it does is because if I can go from not wanting to say more than a few words in
Yeah.
front of a handful of people as myself, yeah. So take the script away. I could not say more than a few words
Yeah.
to just a few years later being in front of thousands of people.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible.
But anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. If you go to work on that, that confidence bit is just about practice. It's just
Yeah.
about, but it is also learning that there are certain things that you can do with your nerves to get them to, because nerves are never a bad thing in and of themselves. And again, this is something you will know because you
Yeah.
send your little ones out and they're all a bag of nerves most of the time, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you nerves are only a problem if they start taking you into fight or flight, right? And this stuff starts happening and the shakes and the screaming starts happening up there, right? That's when they become a problem. But if you just keep nerves at a gentle simmer, okay, so to just sort of bubbling away a little bit, they up your focus and they up your energy so that you are better than you are if they were never there at all. So I know if I was a speaker, and it only happens occasionally, but if I know if I'm about to go out on stage and I am not nervous at all, then I've got to worry.
Yeah.
Because without
Yeah.
exception, I'm always just a little bit off my game, always. So my timing's a bit off. I'm a bit fuzzy around the edges. So just kept it a gentle simmer. But fight or flight is the issue, and there are always things
Yeah.
you can do with your nerves. And so that's kind of what fires me up now is teaching people, coaching people how to get through those nerves.
So the book came from the actual speaking then.
So yeah,
I
yeah. So
didn't know that.
yeah, it came from the workshop. So
That's
we did the
amazing.
workshop, and Andy, who is the chap that I've been mentioning, so founder of Art of Brilliance, but he's also a brilliant author, and he churns out about 5 books a year, and I never know how he does it. So he has a publisher. And I think how it happened was, and this is how things don't happen because we get as actors very used to knocking on doors and just hearing no a lot. So very,
Yeah.
very randomly or very, very infrequently will opportunities just land in your lap. And this one
Yeah.
did. So I was very, very lucky. But I'd written the workshop. Andy liked it, kind of brought it into the art of Brill armor. And then I think I was delivering a video about it, and again, it was before lockdown, so bit of speaking to camera about it, and then I think
Yeah.
the publisher saw it and then said, "Look, we'd love the next book to be this." So, A Girl's Guide to Being Fearless was written into a book, and crazily, I think I signed the contract just as I was about to go down and deliver Remy. And so I started writing the book when Remy was 2 weeks old, and I
Wow,
think we had five months to deliver it. Yeah.
that's amazing.
It's bonkers. It was utterly mental. Like I don't know what possessed me to say yes, but I'm glad
I'm
that.
so glad you did because
Yeah.
it's an incredible book. It
I
really
should have
is.
read it.
Yeah, yeah. I bought it a couple of years ago well, yeah, I bought it for my little girl for Christmas
Oh,
because
so
she was going through a real tough time, and I was like, you need to read this book, and she was like, oh yeah, she loved it. It's
mm,
really, really good, and I think when you're going through teenage life is so hard as a parent. My little girl's nearly 14. We've had all sorts of problems with bullying and, underconfidence, anxiety, all those things that you hear a lot now. The word anxiety sometimes I think is just chucked around a lot, just and not really with a purpose behind it. Oh, yes, she's got anxiety, or she's got anxiety. No, when there is real anxiety, reading something like that where someone has come out and really kind of blossomed, and that there's certain techniques that they can do to make themselves feel better, I think is fantastic. Classic example today, couldn't get her into school this morning. Oh, I can't go in, I know that there's somebody that's really horrible that's going to be doing GCSE dance. Well, GCSE dance isn't for another year. You don't even need to worry about it at the moment. But it's that kind of you know talking yourself out of things,
mm,
which the book doesn't do.
mm.
It elevates you to think more in a positive way, which I think is lovely, particularly for that age group, because I think it can be very, very dark as a teenager, particularly in this day and age with social media. And let's hope this time next week that all of that will be banned. It's looking very likely, isn't it? Thank goodness. But
Is it? So, and this is the Phone Free Childhood campaign that
yeah,
you're talking about, yeah?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because you've got children, haven't you? How old are your children?
Yeah. So Amelie is 10 in a couple of weeks,
Okay.
and Remy is 6. And it is,
Okay.
uh, and again, they are. I mean, both of them are brilliant characters. Remy is just the biggest personality, and she's still got that. And this is the thing, right? Because we are born, and Buddhists call it your original face. Okay, so you are pure you when you are born. No
Yeah.
hang-ups, no embarrassment, right? No, and you don't look at yourself in the mirror and go, "Oh my God, I'm bald," right? When you're 6 months old,
Yeah.
and look at my chubby cheeks, right? I'm half human, half hamster. That's it. I'm never going out in public. Right? You don't care. And you say what you want to say when you want to say it, and you do not care who is listening, okay, or who's in front of you. And then these little kind of gremlins are the things that you pick up because as you get older, you start to understand this sense of self. And then as you get older, still, you understand that other people have thoughts and opinions about us too. Right. And so when we understand that, we start to withdraw. So what other people think about us and then say to us starts to get lodged in here, and they
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
core beliefs. Right. So these are things that we sort of pick up, and we never had them. And I was thinking about Remy, she's 6, and things are starting to change now. She's always been super, super confident. But just an example of that, she was on, I think, so they both go to Stagecoach, and Remy loves it. She doesn't like any type of lesson. She loves like singing and dancing, but as soon as you have to teach her, she's not interested. But she's still going. And she would kind of just get up on stage in front of hundreds of adults and would just go for her life. Right. So she'd be the one at she was a star in the Nativity about 2 years ago. And she didn't just get up and twinkle at the back like she was supposed to. She got up and she was just doing this like for the hour that everyone was on stage, totally
Love
upstaging
it.
everybody else. She did, it was just great, and it's a joy to watch. And then she went, and it was a stage show in front of parents. I don't know, about 6 months ago, and she said something. And I think so. Each of the little groups were. Have we got time, Shelley? Have we got?
Yeah,
You
yeah, it's
sure?
fine. Yeah. Yeah, 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 you're all right. Yeah.
Lovely stories forever. But so there were little groups of them in the room, and each group had to stand up, do a little dance, and then they'd move on to the next one. And then I noticed that Remy's little group got up and they started dancing. The teacher pressed the music, and then all of a sudden they all stopped and they all kind of looked out. And the teacher went, "Oh, sorry, parents. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button," and then or something. And Remy just went, "Yeah, you forgot about us." and the whole place erupted in laughter, right? And because it was collectively, I don't know what, 200 parents maybe in the room, so it was a big old noise. And she went, and you could
Oh,
see this little something almost break in her brain.
oh, love her.
Yeah. So this whole, she just said it like she normally says things. She didn't care who was there, but all of a sudden, she got this response, and
Oh,
she hated it. And you know, Shelley, she had a school play, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Christmas show. About 2 weeks later, and she spent the whole show with her fingers in her mouth like this.
oh no, that's so sad.
Yeah. So she developed stage fright because of that one moment. And
Yeah,
the thing, like this can happen to us, right? This can
yeah,
happen just as it can happen to us. There are things that we can do. It's hard, but there are things that we can do to put down these beliefs that we have picked up
yeah.
throughout the years, right, from other people.
And so you do that now. You're still speaking. You've still obviously got your book. But do you coach with Anna now? What? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So public speaker, so conferences, keynotes, and travel a lot doing that, which is fantastic. But also started coaching public speaking about 5 years ago.
Ah, that's what you teach. Okay, wow.
So, and but love that, and it's almost a little bit like directing, right? So you just get to, yeah. I mean, sometimes I start those sessions when I'm coaxing people out the toilets, right? Because
Yeah,
most
yeah,
people hate public speaking. So and then seeing the change in people from the beginning of the day to the end of the day is what really fires me up.
yeah,
As I
great.
was doing those sessions, sorry, Hannah, I think there might be a little bit of a delay. So if I'm coming over the top of you, forgive me.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. So what for me though, I really started loving was, and and I love coaching all genders, all ages, but there was something about coaching women that made me realize there are certain issues and challenges that women face that are specific to us.
Hmm.
And it depends where you do your research, with things like imposter syndrome, and that phrase is
Yeah,
being changed now because just the very fact that we're calling it a syndrome kind of implies that the issue is with us, right? And it's something that we
yeah.
have to fix. Whereas really it's just a part of the human condition, right? It's just part of the human condition. And some say that men feel it every bit as much, but perhaps women self-report more.
Okay.
But whatever the thing is there, because of social conditioning and the way we are raised and expectations and lack of role models and things, there are too many people that I was working with, too many brilliant women who were making themselves smaller. And if you think
Mm,
about it globally, right, there are women make up almost half of the workforce. And yet it's only, I think, 30% of women in leadership positions. And given what women can do when they get the spotlight, I think that is a crying
yeah,
shame. That's
it
a
is a
crying
shame.
shame. You think about all the female leaders that we've had around the world in the last few years, that are the ones and it's not to say that that's not the case with men, but we are definitely struggling when it comes to our confidence for all sorts of reasons that again, if we had another half an hour, I'd talk you into.
Yeah,
No.
because I think also
Mm.
we get to that. I mean, I'm obviously of an age where it's menopause, and there's that really can affect your confidence like massively. And like you were saying at the beginning of the call, where we're kind of that generation where we're looking after teenage, or my generation particularly, looking after teenagers, but also looking after sick parents as well. So you're kind of juggling all of this. You're juggling a career, you're juggling looking after the house, you're juggling a partner, you're juggling life in general, and then you've got all these hormones attacking you as well at the same time. So there is so much to being a woman, isn't there? There is. And and yes, of course there can be the same for men, but I think you're right. There's such a lack of powerful women doing the things that people like ourselves are now coaching. I think it's amazing that there are coaches now that are doing these kind of things, because I spend a lot of my time as a coach saying to people, but you can do this. It's almost like you're the problem. I would never say that, but it's like you're stopping yourself doing this. you can do it. You've got all the tools. You've been to drama school, you've put on shows, you know how to do all these things, but something in your head's going, I can't do that. I haven't got
Yeah.
confidence to do that. I mustn't do that, you know? And I think like you say, setting up coaching calls and doing things like you're doing is so empowering. It's amazing.
Thank you, darling. But here's the thing, that is it, isn't it? Is yes, you're the problem, but actually it's not. It's just a particular part of your brain that's the problem. So
Yeah.
your brain is there to keep you safe until tomorrow. That's the thing. So that's why it sort of starts talking us out of the game. But so we started the Fearless Femme 3 years ago, although we're launching the first kind of flagship program now, and we've got our first cohort going through it. But the Fearless Femme is a platform for exactly this, right? So it is a confidence, communication, and well-being platform for women who are ready for that next chapter, whatever that might be, but there is some sort of block in the way, or there are struggles and there are challenges. And the reason it's well-being as well as confidence and communication is because those struggles might be that they are facing infertility challenges, right?
Mhm.
Or that they are hitting perimenopause, okay, menopause later on in life. And as you said, it's almost quite cruel, isn't it? That I don't know
Mm.
about you, but my 20s, I was an absolute mess. They were a haze and they're a blur, and I can't even remember what really happened in them. But
Yeah.
then when I hit my 30s, I started to really find my stride, right? And
Yeah.
started doing all the speaking, and confidence really grew, and I'd written the book, and it was based on the stuff that I'd discovered and found. But then as you start heading into your 40s, and then loads of different hormones,
Yeah.
in fact,
Yeah.
different challenges with your hormones hit for whatever reason, that confidence can be really easily whipped away again.
Think also like for me, when one of the reasons for me to give up was to have children, and I just thought I'd fall pregnant like that, and I didn't. And it's I had 7 years of fertility treatment to have Ayana, and then fell pregnant naturally, which I have spoken about on a couple of my podcasts. But also, you don't ever think you can't have children. You never think, oh, well, I mean, I'd always been really fit. I'd always, eaten well. I've never smoked. Yes, I like a drink, but not excessively, so I'd always been quite, looked after myself. So you never ever think that you're going to be that statistic where somebody can't fall pregnant. And so when you're dancing in your 20s and everything's great, and and you're probably and doing stupid things like I used to do where I wouldn't eat after 3 o'clock and crazy things like that, it affects your body so much. And it's not until it wasn't really for me until the doctors kind of said, look, you've got to stop. You've got to stop. You've got to start eating properly. You've got to stop exercising as much as you are. And when you do that, you'll fall pregnant. And I did. It was literally as simple as that. And it's I think when as you then go into the next stage, like I've loved my 40s. I hit 50 next year, and my 40s have been my by far my best years. I've loved every single second of my 40s, apart from the perimenopause and menopause part. But you kind of feel a little bit more. I don't really care if people don't like me. Okay, do you know what? You can't like everybody. I might not like you. Whatever. I'm kind of I'm still quite sensitive, but I'm a little bit more thick-skinned, and I'm a little bit more like, do you know what? If you're not my tribe, then fine.
Mhm.
Whereas in my 30s, I would be like, oh, doing everything that I could to make that friendship work, doing everything I could to please that person. Now I'm like, would you? Same with the school. I'm like, do you know what? If you want to go to Stagecoach up the road, go, because you know what? That's fine. But I think
There's
you
a
have
real
to kind of get to that point, don't you?
Yeah. If you could bottle that, right, and actually
Yeah.
give it to us in our,
And
when we hit our teenage years, because that's the thing. And I still occasionally go in to work with teens, occasionally, and I should do more of it because actually that's where you can really get in there early. But having said that, there's almost you can't say any words in the English language that will land necessarily at that age. You kind of do have to go through the knocks and the lived experience, and then just to
Mm.
care less. And I'm kind of absolutely in that camp that I can't say I don't care at all, but I've just found that genuine confidence. There is a difference between bravado
and
that I used
life
to have.
experience as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? Like I remember. a lot of people, when you leave drama school and stuff, saying you can't play that. You can't play someone in your 40s because you don't know what it's like to have had a family or to have run your own house or to have, gone through maybe losing a parent or life struggles or various different jobs. You've not done that. So how can you play that character? And I'd be like, well, I can play it, but actually you can't because you don't relate to those characters as much. So actually, as you get older, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about acting. Those are people that are still doing it professionally in their 40s and 50s, is that you can always grow into those characters, can't you? Like I was watching Mrs. Biggs this week, which is I can't believe I haven't seen it. Really, really lovely drama with
Sheridan Smith.
Sheridan Smith. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, like she looks so different. And it was years and years ago the drama. But how she's changed in all of the characters that she's done, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But we've come to an hour, and I'm going to have to go because I've got another pod. But I could literally chat to you for ages about this. It's such a lovely subject. And just to kind of finish off, where do you see Susie going in the next 5 years?
Oh God, that's like tell us all about you. That question, it's a biggie, isn't it? Where do you start? Where do you start? For me, it is so. Look, public speaking is bread and butter. I'm so lucky to be doing it, and I love it, and I want it forever to continue. So that is the big thing. I want the coaching, though, the Fearless Femme, the female coaching, to really be making. It's so trite to say make a difference, but make a proper dent
Yeah.
out there. So I want that to be up and thriving and just in all sorts of areas. So I want it to go off into schools and that we start it slightly younger. I'd love to be able to fill a gap between how do we work together with men and women to deal with this sort of pendulum swing of the feminism that's happened, but the backlash that then happened off the back of it. There is a middle ground that we're not getting at the moment. So I'd love to
Yeah.
work in that sort of area. And Shelley, I'm going to drop a bit of a bomb, but I would love to get back into acting for all the
Really?
reasons that we've just spoken about. Yeah,
Okay.
because I think I'd be a different actor now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, well, watch this space.
Oh, darling, yeah, but I mean, back at you, back at you. I know you
Wow.
probably said it on the podcast in terms of what you want to do, but I'd love to
I
see what
haven't. I've
happens
never
in your
really been
life.
asked that. I don't know. I've had my school for 18 years now. Can you believe that? So I know, 18 years.
Congratulations. But that's a
Um,
feat. That is a massive feat to still be up and running and thriving 18 years
yeah, and we've
later.
been through a recession, COVID, cost of living, all of those things that have gone through, children that have lost parents, lost sisters, lost brothers, eating disorders, bullying, all sorts of things. I don't know if I'll still have the school in 5 years. Who knows? Um, I don't think I'd go back to acting unless I'd retired and given up the school. The school takes up too much time. I love my costume company. That's, kind of bubbles in the background. And I really, really love the coaching. I think that's where I'll see myself going. But I quite like working for somebody else and not doing it, having to do all the marketing and the socials. And, I quite like going into my coaching call, closing the door after that, doing a little feedback form for my little client, and then that's it. I like that. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think the school can really run without me now. But who knows? I have no massive goal. I think when you get to this age, you just think, actually, I'm quite happy with life. And yeah,
Contentness, if that's a word, it is now,
yeah,
and peace, right, and tranquility, like that.
yeah.
What a
And,
lovely game.
obviously, Rob and I haven't been married that long. We've only been married for 2 years. We've been together 11. So, just kind of enjoying our lives. And as Ayana gets older, we get a bit more time for ourselves, which is nice as well. So, and obviously, teenage life is a challenge. So we need those time, that time, those people that are listening that have got teenagers. So yeah, but thank you so much, Susie. Thank you for your time. I'm so glad we finally got a date in the diary. And it's been wonderful finding out all about your career and the amazing book which you've had, which you must read, guys. It's absolutely fantastic. Available on Amazon, isn't it?
Yes, I should also say in other good bookshops, shouldn't I?
You should.
I should. All right, listen, darling, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Take care. Lots of love, my darling.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.